Whoa. Hey guys. Ugh, I don't know what's happening here. Hey guys, how's it going? No, I didn't. I didn't stand you up. It's at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. I'm going to wait, get some people on here. I'm really excited about today because we're going to go over managing deal finders. And we may have a special guest appearance by the Josh Johnson. Who knows? Just ran from the DealMachine office where they're recording some great videos to back over here. So that way I had my screens and then I can be able to do this more effectively. So I'm really excited today because we're going to be talking about how to manage your deal finders and how to recruit properly and make sure that you're getting some rock stars going. So I am going to get this set up. Okay. So a couple of different things when it comes to, building your Driving for Dollars team. Big things that you need to remember and that you need to get down is how are you paying them? I will go over the pay structures here in a minute, but you need to know how you're paying them, how many properties you need to be added. So I know we talked about before about how you need to figure out, if you need 2 properties, if you need 2 deals a month, then you need to figure out how many leads you should be inputting. And then figure out from there how many people you need to be continually doing that so that way it becomes a repetition. So big things I wanted to show as you're growing your team, there's a couple of different ways. Right now I'm going to show you my favorite and how I believe you guys should be collecting drivers and getting them out there is making sure that you have your custom link ready and your live page going. So for that, I would say, get your training video set up. This is where, I know you can invite people to be on your team, but I would make sure that you're sending them this link because this sends them straight through the training portal. And a couple of things I was just talking to some members about that I think are really important is when you're vetting through this process, if you know that in this training videos that we cover literally everything and you have somebody coming to you and saying, I don't know how I'm getting paid, then they did not go through the training videos and you should probably not have them on your team if they can't follow instructions. I know that may sound kind of harsh, but I don't want you guys wasting your time with people that don't read instructions or aren't serious about doing this because it is going to drain you. Okay. So a couple of different ways that you can decide how you want to pay people. So there's hourly. David starts off at like $12 an hour, I think. You can definitely, do a higher number if you would like, but I would say figure out how you want to pay them hourly. I prefer hourly only because then when you're, figuring out, how many hours you want them to work, it's going to be a consistent payment. And then that also is going to bring in those consistent leads because you should be telling them between 15 and 20 leads should be added per hour. And you can figure out all of that. And I'll show you how to in the analytics section. This just makes it so that you know how many leads are coming in each week. Instead of if you do pay per property, it's great. It's another option that you can have. But this doesn't guarantee that you're going to get these leads in. You can say, oh, I'll pay you $1 per property. And I know where some people, this is very successful for them. And so you got to figure out what works best for your budget and works best for you professionally. And then if you're just starting out, you can do per closed deals. I just want to make you aware that this will give you more turnover just because it takes a while to get a deal. It's going to take you a month or so to get a deal in. And so while these people are waiting around, they may not have the same patience and they may just fizzle out. That is usually the case. I have done pay per deal and I have lost, I think, every single person that I've recruited for that. So then you want to know the distress level. These are always like replaceable. You can do your own custom training videos on here for this. Let me zoom this in. Whoop. Okay. Big thing too, when you're going into adding people and you're wondering, well, I don't want to go through like lead by lead by lead to like look at the picture and make sure that it's okay. We train them how to use tags. And if you don't know what tags are, I can go over that. Just, mention it in the comments if you'd like to see it. But this way you can filter through tags and you'll be like, okay, this matches all my criteria. Here, filter out ones that have this tag and this tag who were added, who are pending approval. And that means that you know that all of those are good to go and you can just start them on marketing and you don't have to worry about them. The ones that don't have that tag, you can go ahead and just send into the trash because they shouldn't add them unless they can tag them. That's like the biggest thing. So we teach them how to do that here. You also want to make sure, and this is another option for the welcome email. I would customize this to say like how you're going to pay people. Whoa, that bubbled out weird. How you're going to pay people. You can also like link your driver contract in this welcome email. You might want to wait, see if they're going to be sticky and stick around and then send them the contract. That's up to you. Definitely though, have someone look over the contract to make sure that it applies to everything, all your state's laws. Okay. Don't be shy. Say hi, guys. Okay, so this is the training portal again. Again, instead of inviting them through email, I would say use this link for everything. And then once they go through all the training videos, they can always go back and look at them through the settings. They're always going to be there. So they can go into settings. Maybe they forgot how to add a property. No worries. They can just go right into settings and watch that training video again. That way you're not having to spend your time teaching them over and over and over and over and over again. All right. Any questions, you guys? Hey, John. How's it going? All right. So the next thing I want to go into is how to track them to pay them. So say you are paying them hourly. Okay, you want to figure out how much you need to be paying them, making sure that they're adding the correct number of leads in all the time. So what you're going to need to do is go into your analytics, go to filter, go by, we'll just do me for right now, update. And then I can customize this to go from like this last week. So whether you want to pay them bi-weekly or weekly, either one, you can have the filter go through that. So you filter it just by the week. So then I can see how many properties I added or the team member, and then also how many hours they drove. So then I can take how much they drove and then, divide the hours and the properties added to make sure that they're adding the correct number of properties per hour. Now, also, we want to make sure that we know if our live route tracking is on when we have our lead or on our deal finders. So you click on the map, make sure that the show driving routes is on. And that's going to make it to where everyone on your team is going to be able to see where you've driven already. Hi, Debra. So good to see you again, friend. So good to see you. I'm going to message Josh really quick and see if he's coming on. All right. Glad you made it. I'm here. I'm not late. I'm so glad that you made it here. So glad. So managing your deal finders, you want to make sure they're adding the amount of properties per week. So make sure, I'd say, set this down once a week to make sure that you are like making sure they're adding their properties, because this is going to be a lifesaver. The fact that you know how many they should be adding and then checking it and then holding them accountable to that. That's like huge. It's a big thing with managing. If you want to have somebody else do it, like have a VA, anything like that, just let them know. I'm actually going to have Josh jump on for a minute. Oh, there he is. The fact that you know how many they should be adding and then, oh, shut me off, Josh.
What? So I just did. Is this better?
Is your mic on? Because you sound far away.
It is on.
So guys, as Josh figures that out, I'm going to introduce you to the Josh Johnson. This is our VP of VP. And
VP of VP.
VP of VP. And he is in charge of all enterprise. I help with onboarding, but Josh is the main guy that you talk to. So this is the guy you're going to want to talk to if you're scaling your business. Josh, thanks for being on here today with us.
No problem. Good to be here.
So we just went over some ways of managing your deal finders. What would be some of the common questions that you hear from people?
Our enterprise customers about deal finders in particular?
Yeah, like how to manage them, how to everything. Debra says, hey, Josh.
Hey, Debra. Yeah, so the biggest things that's going to come up is like, how do you pay them? How do you budget for them, which is obviously directly related to pay. But planning for a payment structure that fits your business is really the most important part of that. And then the downstream of that is recruiting people that fit that payment structure. So I think that's the nuances of the process that's most important, because the last thing you want to do is churn your time too much while you're constantly re-recruiting and running the rat race of deal finder recruitment, when like that opportunity cost is really great, when it's like you could be at that point, you could just be driving yourself if you're spending hours a day recruiting people or talking to them to get them to go drive for you. And so that's, I think, the biggest thing I like to point out that comes up a lot in the process. How to train them, obviously, is part of that and all that kind of stuff. And we have tools to help with that as well.
I love it. Yeah, I was just going over how to check to see how long they've driven, or how many hours they drove in the week. And guys, we learned something new every day. Josh taught me something because I was doing it a longer way of how to count hours. And so Josh helped me out. Appreciate you.
Gotcha.
Anything else you would like to say? Like that's just a huge, I mean, I say that stuff all the time, but what's like the golden nugget of enterprise, or like why people should want to get to enterprise?
I think the two things I would mention, one is it just at some point, just the scale of running your wholesale, your real estate investing business, you need to be out of the, like, as the person driving the business, ideally you're getting closer to focus on the bottom of the funnel, people that are active in the pipeline. Obviously that's when it's just you, you're doing all of it. But what's going to happen over time, if it's still just you, it's at some point you need to prioritize the bottom of the funnel. But what tends to happen at the top of the funnel, all those new leads that you're submitting into DealMachine are going away because you're too focused on active deals. And that's how you get really cyclical opportunity flow, where like you get a good month and then all of a sudden it disappears for 3 months because you restart essentially the whole business. And so enterprise allows you to do the motions, at least.
I know.
Enterprise makes it really easy for you to have the team members that are out there doing the top of the funnel for you at all times, so that that's never falling off, because that's how long-term is your only way to really scale the business, is to make sure that that top of the funnel is constantly filled up with new leads and new prospects. And so enterprise really makes it easy to do that part, and makes the marketing to that part of the funnel also very easy.
Love it. That was great, Josh. Good thing this is recorded.
Excellent.
I can reuse this. Yeah, I'm super excited. I know I talked about last time the new CRM. We just did some tutorial videos today, and I'm really excited. Actually, I might just show a preview right now. If there's anything specific you want to talk about, Josh, you certainly can, but I'm going to pull this up really quick.
All right.
I'm just really pumped because I want to show the new dashboard because no one's seen it yet. Both Josh and I are pinging. If you guys do, feel free. Like, Josh does not get on here a lot. He is always on calls. So feel free to please pick his brain today of strategy and like recruitment, and just strategy is the biggest one that I feel like you are just, I always say you are the golden nugget of enterprise, because people get to talk to you and talk strategy. And I feel like that's just such a huge thing.
I appreciate that. I in particular just like committing to figuring out like what is the goal in the end that we're trying to achieve, and then engineering the system that needs to achieve that goal. Because it's not just as simple as like, oh, go driving and people start calling. Well, it can be that simple, but as we scale up and again get past just like getting 0 to 1, maybe a second deal a month, as we try to get past that, you need to be more measured. You need to be more purposeful in a lot of your little strategies that you're implementing to get there. And so I think that's what we do a really good job of in the enterprise onboarding process that you run now, as well as just in our conversations typically on the enterprise side.
All right, so I'm pulling up. Carmelo, hey, welcome back, friend. Looking for the best first-time call script to get appointments.
We have a call script buried somewhere. Do you know where it is?
No.
We can find it and drop it in here.
Also, Carmelo, I would definitely check out Brent Daniels.
Yeah, I just go to talktopeople.com and they're going to have call scripts for you to use that it's going to be really, really helpful to go out and execute. In the end, the simplicity is the biggest thing. Like I've seen his main call script, and there's obviously like different like Q&As and all that stuff to get into like the more detailed component, but really it's just call him, say, hey, is this the owner of this 123 Main Street? I'm a local real estate investor. Call's probably a little bit out of the blue, but just interested in knowing what your plans are for the property, or if you'd want to hear an offer. And then from your perspective, it's like yes or no. No, great. Is that going to change in the future? Do you have any other properties that you might want to sell? If they say yes, they're typically going to say, well, what do you want to offer for it? And then you can say, like, initially pull like 60% of Zillow and say, this is roughly where I'd be without seeing the property, and then going from there.
Yeah, I definitely think the biggest thing is I always like to be like, oh, I know this is random, or like, I know you don't know me, or something like that. Calling out the awkwardness can really help cure the awkwardness. I don't know. That's just me.
How would you say calling out? Like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Like, it's awkward because it is I always, and this is just like, whenever an awkward situation comes out, I always end up calling out the awkwardness. Like, say somebody fumbled over their words, or I fumbled over my words. I'm just like, oh, well, there's the jibber jabber or something like that. And then it just kind of calms everything. So when I used to do cold calling, my script was, hey, Joe, or hey, Josh, it's Elise. And then pause. Pausing was like key in cold calling and going slow. And so I'd say it's Elise, and then, okay, go, Josh. Hey, Josh, it's Elise.
Hey.
Hey, I know this is super random, and don't rack your brain. We've actually never met before.
Oh, good to know. Why are you calling me?
Yeah. Great question. I know. I actually, and this was my other thing, like I would change this to real estate investing. I was selling men's suit at the time, so I could go into that. But I would just be like, yeah, I'm actually, I drove past your house the other day. I think you own blah, 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 blah.
Yes, I do own that house.
Awesome. Well, I'm a local investor and was just wondering if you had any plans on possibly selling your property.
Yes, give me an offer.
This is ideal scenario, everyone.
This is not how this conversation typically goes.
That was great though. But that's how I always did it, because it was, and what was so funny is you get the reaction of, usually they pretend like they know you, because it's awkward if you don't know the person, if they sound like they know you. I don't know. It was a good script. Akil, how do I currently pay my deal finders? I pay per deal, which is not ideal. Just so you know, it's not.
But it depends on your budget, really, in the end, because just being realistic with yourself is a big thing. I know we end up talking to a lot of people who come to us and say, hey, I've got like a $300 a month budget or $400 or $500 a month budget. It's really hard for you to make your marketing work if you're also paying someone like $15 an hour then to do that, because all of a sudden your whole marketing budget's gone just to the driving efforts, and you're left with a list of people that you don't have a budget to market to. And so it definitely is probably the most expensive long-term to go that route, as well as the most work up front to get deal finders committed to doing it. But it can work if your budget's small. Now, as we talk about a lot of our enterprise customers who are scaling and doing higher volume, hourly is all of our favorite payment structures. The predictability of that, as well as the opportunity cost, again, I mentioned earlier, of re-recruiting people on those other back-end payment structures. You'll just spend so much time doing that. Whereas with an hourly structure, you're going to get a lot more predictability out of that effort with those deal finders.
Yeah, it's not, the reason why is because of my budget. I don't do it full time, and I do it for experience. So it's not something I'm going to do hourly, and it's all friends and family, honestly. Like I don't put out an ad or anything because I don't have time to manage all of them. But I do have quite a few because it's family and friends, and they do it on, their time. When are default campaigns based on, when is default based on owner type instead of only one default coming? Do
you mean in an automated fashion, or do you mean in just on your side? Because so eventually we'll have an automated way to likely do that. There's some things that we're working on that'll make that easier. Some like intelligent list building, where we can build lists based off criteria that can then apply something like a specific mail template to it based off like an owner type or something like that. Right now, the best way to do that is when you go drive, at every type of property, ignore owner type, use the highlighting system to maybe look at absentee owners a little more closely, but you're still adding distress no matter what when you're out there driving. And then at least actually on your side with the screen up, if you could just show real quick, if you can drop into the leads section, we can show like filtering by owner type, and then taking a bulk action to assign all pending approval owner occupieds, for example, to an owner occupied campaign. I'm gonna
do it on the old system just because I don't want to confuse people with the new one.
The new one's coming out soon.
Very, very soon.
I would just show them on the new one personally.
Really?
Yeah, because it's gonna, by the time that most people get into this, it'll be new.
All right. So this is your new leads list. Okay. This is what it's going to look like. So what you can do is I can go over here and filter. I've been logged out because I logged into my other account. Oh, by the way, I just think this might be funny to tell people, but never mind. I don't think it's that funny. We were on a call yesterday and we got some feedback from one of the videos, and the people didn't realize that I was the one in the video, and they made a note that said, "Girl in video is jarring at beginning." And I was like, do you what, jarring? And I said, that's me, right? And they were like, oh. And then it got that awkward, but I didn't care because I know I can be very like, pachow.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. Okay, we're back here. So we're filtering leads. So I click filter leads. And then just like what Josh said, I can go in here and do by...
I would do owner type and then lead status pending approval.
So you do owner type. So I can do absentee owner. And then I can do by pending approval. And then what's really great with this new CRM is that you can now make this a preset. So that way you already know that this is what like you want. This, you can literally just press a button and it's going to be preset to what you want. And then I can just select all. And then I can do bulk edits through here. So I can start mailers, change status, add to list. But the thing that I know it's not regulated right now, but something really that you can do is you can just go to mailing options, and then you'll be able to start mailers. And then I can just select the campaign that I want. So I can say, this is my absentee indie edit mailing options, done. It's very, it'll only take you just very minimal time to do, but great question. Cause that also goes with, I want you guys to know, this is what I was talking about too earlier. When you're a deal finder, so you don't have to go through like lead by lead by lead to approve, like see if they're approved. Go to tags and select all the tags that you want for it to be an approved lead. And if your driver did it correctly, they should have tagged it to like approve it. That way it makes it easier.
I would note there, you have to ask your drivers if they want to be using those tags. Like, you have to decide for yourself. Drivers are going to be going slower if they are tagging every property with every single attribute. It's valuable, obviously, for you to know that, so you know why it was added. But at the same time, if they're able to add 10 to 12 properties an hour versus 20 to 30 because they're adding tags to each one, it's a nice thing. We are making it faster to add tags in the next update. But I think that's the biggest thing I would note is tags. Tags are really valuable. I think the best way to use them is having some tags that indicate some level of priority, literally, I have the tag in my system is called priority. So if I come across a house and it's like, this thing looked like a home run opportunity, I'm going to like do literally everything I can to get a hold of them. I'm going to mail them. I'm going to mail them again 2 days later. I'm going to get after them as much as I can. Those are the ones in particular that I think the tagging system is most valuable for. Okay.
Duly noted. Hello, Derek. My friend Bernard is asking, what is the best way to recruit deal finders? Do you go ahead, Josh?
Bernard, if you can drop in a note about why, or how, or not why, sorry, how you want to pay deal finders, or if you thought about that. If you're paying people hourly, drop it, like literally Indeed, Craigslist, say, hey, I'm looking for an hourly person, X number of hours a week, X number of hours per dollars per hour. That's really easy for you to just throw out in traditional job boards and everything like that. If you're paying someone like, I'm going to share a deal with them if they add a property that I actually get a deal off of. I would still do those traditional job ads. Just be very clear, like, hey, I'm paying. This is how I'm going to pay. This is what I'm doing. This is how your leads factor into the equation. I think you can still post those job ads. In reality, those are people you should be recruiting, friends, family, who potentially are just wanting to help you find opportunities. Also going to like a local RIA and finding those people who are just getting started, who maybe don't have the traction that you do yet as an investor, and they want somewhere to start. Because if they're going to get paid on the back end, they need to be committed to more of a long-term perspective. And that's something that comes with being paid on the back end, and it matches. So earlier when I talked about how you pay should match your budget, it should also match the deal finder type of person. And so that's a long-winded answer, because how and who you recruit should vary a little bit depending on the deal finder structure you're hoping to do, as well as what plan that you're on. I mean, if you're on basic or professional, you've got those 2 or 4 users that you can have, but you can't recruit a bunch of people. So it really matters is like who's sitting in that seat that you have available to you. If you're on enterprise, you can open it up and you can just recruit in more bulk and mass and just have people sign up based off when they want to, through this page that Elise just pulled up.
Yeah, so this is the training portal, and actually let me just quickly, I can make another one to sign up through this so you guys actually see what. This is not my real number, so please don't. Please don't text this poor person. All right, so this is how you literally send them this link, and then this is how they're signing up.
Yeah, so like if you're in an Uber and you just mentioned to an Uber driver, this is what they do. And if you're like, hey, do you ever see distressed properties while you're out driving? Awesome. Go to this webpage, sign up for my team, and then we train them. You gonna pause that?
I was trying to.
We train them on how to do this for you. So you don't have to worry about, that's the biggest question, honestly, for a very long time we got before we built this, was every single kickoff call was like, what do I tell my deal finders? How do I get them onboarded? And it was a cumbersome process when you did that. For a long time, we had a landing page, but it was just a sign-up page, and there wasn't training elements. So it fell to the enterprise user to train them. Now we've got all of these videos showing them how to do all of it. So you still own the relationship with them, but in terms of the training, we help a lot with that.
I'm not trying to skip anybody's questions, but Oscar, this is very relative to right now. The first question, do deal finders have desktop access to use virtual drawing for dollars? They certainly do. I can go over that in a little bit if you want, but they can definitely do it. And then is there a link that can be placed on sites like Craigslist to recruit drivers? So that's what we're showing right now. This is the landing page that you get. This is what it looks like you would get to make your custom URL to post in places like Craigslist, things like that. I don't know about you, Josh, but I don't really recommend Craigslist. But
I think it's a no loss scenario if you're on enterprise and have the seats for more drivers.
I mean,
there's like, you're not going to lose anything by being on there, especially depending on the market. There can be different costs for posting something on like a Craigslist job board. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's like $20. So that could be a variable to think about. But I think we've got job ads that you can throw out there, and you can just publish it. And if someone signs up, awesome. And you can pick up a few people that way.
Do you like this face right here? This is a good face.
It's great.
So anyways, this is the training. So they just literally go through next. They watch the next one of Josh talking.
You're muted, Elise, I think.
When they get through all of this, sorry guys.
Hey, this is Josh from DealMachine, and today I'm here to...
Josh just comes out of nowhere. Once they get through all of this training as well, they have all of these videos to look back on in their settings. So they shouldn't be asking you anything. And what I was saying earlier is that if you have them coming to you asking you how to add a property, that to me is a red flag of they don't pay attention and they don't listen to instructions. So it's something to, I know that's kind of harsh, but like that's what I chalk it up to. I don't know about you.
No, I agree.
Oh, I thought you were muted now. I'm like, what the frick? Carmelo, what do you do when you get your first deal and don't have the 100% cash offer to close?
Do you mean your own cash, or? And I'll say this first and foremost, Elise and I are like experts in DealMachine. We're not the experts necessarily in like the entire, all about wholesaling or all about the entire process. So I'd want a little more clarity on exactly what you mean by like, I'm assuming you mean you don't have the cash to pay for the property. You could mean you just don't know how to make what that offer is for the property. So if you can clarify in the comment, that would be helpful.
Akil says that looks awesome. Thank you, Akil, because we're so excited about this. Look at this. Okay, so this is what I was going to show earlier was the dashboard. Oh, and Bernard, this is also included in the new system. So this is what everyone's is going to look like. People who just start are going to be getting this dashboard. And I'm excited to tell you like what it's about. So let me just tell you. So when you get on here and you just sign up, this is like your welcome dashboard. Okay. So you get your quick start guide, which you definitely should watch if you have not ever watched it. And then we have our case studies down here. And these are case studies done by people who use DealMachine, have been successful with DealMachine, their practices, what they're doing so that you guys can, take from them what they're doing. And then I love this new feature. So I don't know if you know or not, but we have biweekly webinars and they're question and answer for anyone with DealMachine to come on and do with these gurus. And right through the app, you can now sign up for the webinar, which is really convenient, great. That way you're not missing out on anything. And then we have put together these quick start steps, which basically walks you through how to be successful with DealMachine. It is your own checklist to say this, 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 and this. And I will tell you right now, if you're in the Facebook group, you have this in the unit section in the group already. And then we're going to have the map looking like the map, but you're going to have on the side here your list of deals. So here's these are my highlighted showing 7 highlighted properties, so I get to see those. And then I can, change the status of these. So this is in the trash, but I could change it to like appointment set or something like that. I just want owner occupied ads to default to owner occupied campaign, etc. with all the extra clicks. Yeah, no, totally get that.
Right. That just, as of today, it doesn't do that. It will happen in the future. We don't know when.
Go to your drop down where it says more. There's a request feature button down here. Go there. That is a requested feature. Definitely vote for it. It'll move up in the thing and then we can address it quicker. Akil, when is the new dashboard coming out?
Soon.
We don't know. Soon though.
I have a very strong idea of when, but we can't commit too much to specific deadlines. We don't want to rush it out. And so if we feel like we have a deadline out there that we've already said, we feel committed to try to deliver there. And if there's something that just needs more work, we'd rather just make sure it gets done properly than anything else. But it's very soon.
So Carmelo, back to the cash question. If you don't have the cash to purchase the property, and how long normally is the inspection? Because you would have the deal, right?
Yeah. And so, in general, the advice there is ideally, like, you're going to book yourself as long of an inspection period as you can negotiate into the contract. It's literally a conversation with the seller. I would build in ideally at least 30 days just to give yourself more time. Some sellers are going to be like, you literally reached out to give me a cash offer because you said you close fast. So you need to figure out ways to be able to handle those conversations with sellers to try to get as long of an inspection period as you can. And also, the priority through the process obviously is to do your research so that like the price that you're getting the initial contract for is a deal that you can then sell to an investor. There's going to be times that doesn't work out that way. Even some of the best wholesalers I know, they've got about a 65% close rate from contract to close rate. So there's still drop off there. And sometimes there has to be renegotiation as you have more investors look at the property if you are trying to wholesale it. But yeah, the biggest thing is if you have an inspection period, cancel the contract within the inspection period, or else you will open yourself up to liability. On that kind of stuff. Again, there's local lawyers and better resources to talk explicitly to that. But correct that you need to be able to get out of a contract if it's not a good deal.
Josh.
Yes.
if I know that you popped on here for a quick second, if you have other things to do, you can go.
I've got a little bit of time still, so.
Awesome. Then everyone should take advantage of this and ask Josh all the questions. All the questions. Again, this is the new CRM look. Your leads list will now look like.
Not quite the CRM launch, technically.
Okay. This is your new.
This is the new DealMachine design, and it's a foundational relaunch that we will probably likely be launching something more like a CRM.
I just love our like probably sometime in the next we want to keep you on your toes, people. One thing I want to point out here is before you could not have equity percentage in here on the grid view, and now you can. These are all adjustable. You can edit what you have on here. That I really love because I personally don't want to see some of the things. Like I want to see sale date. I don't need to see sale price. And you can see parcel ID. I know so many people who have asked for this.
A lot of people.
Lots of people. I don't need to know who added it. And I don't even know when it was added. So save options. And here we go. And what I love is when you click on, if I want to view this lead, guys, it doesn't take you straight into it. It just pops up on the side. So you don't have to keep going like back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, it's that right there. This is probably the biggest, very big improvement that's coming with this one is you can truly review all of your leads at one URL and approve them, disqualify them, whatever you need to do. You can do all. I've got dogs walking around me. You can do it all from one URL, and it speeds up the process by it's like half the time it takes now to be able to actually review your properties inside of DealMachine. Something else I'd speak to on the owner, like being able to auto default like owner occupied to an owner occupied template or something like that. Part of the reason that we haven't done that, something like that is super simple, but the system that we actually want to have in place is to be able to say, hey, when a property is added that's owner occupied, that's sold more than 5 years ago, that also has greater than 50% equity, I want it to be on this campaign with this set of tasks applied to it. Whereas if it's an owner occupied that sold last year, I want it to auto disqualify and remove from the data set because of the sale date. And so the permutations and like decisions that can be automated can be really robust and awesome. It's just when we build it, we want to build it right for the long term as opposed to just doing a temporary thing that we then don't address until for a while after that.
Yep. Well, if not, oh, here we go.
Michael, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, to be honest, the leads reviewing system I actually have not looked at on mobile yet. So I'm not entirely certain which direction that we're going there. There's obviously limitations to reviewing leads in like a grid format on a mobile screen size, just because it's too small, text becomes too small and things like that. So I transparently don't entirely know. Let me see if I can pull up what this is going to look like. But there are going to be some nuances to it as well. But for this purpose, view the desktop as the bigger change with this.
This is going to help your admin side of things more than anything.
So this is actually, I have it. So it'll still be.
I'm going to make you bigger. Hold on.
So instead of, I'm backstage. It's fine. This is good. All right. So instead of what you've seen before, so you're still going to have that like new color on the side there. You're still going to click leads instead of deals, and then you're going to have each of the individual properties show up in their own list here, and then the same filter settings and everything. So the card that you're seeing initially, like for the property, will still show you everything you need to know. You can click into it review the whole deal, start campaigns, add notes, tasks, all that kind of stuff. Doing this backwards. And then you could like start a campaign from this view too if it all looks good. Debra, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to use it in Chrome. If you're just DealMachine.com logging in, and it should work. I'm curious what you mean exactly, like what's happening exactly when you log in. Is it not logging in, or because again, like I'm logged in on Chrome right now, and it should work the exact same way in any browser at all. At least come back.
I kind of like you just doing it on your own.
Yeah. So, I mean, data management across literally like 100 million properties across the country, like is, as you would guess, Akil, like a lot. There's a lot going on when it comes to that. We refresh data every Monday now. It used to be monthly for a little while. We looked at properties as they were added. But even that was in slight delay. But we refresh the database every Monday, and we get it from a few different data providers that refresh theirs in a similar time frame. So, I mean, there's definitely possible that there could be ownership discrepancies in data. When we look at it, I believe it's like right around 3%, give or take a few tenths of a percentage from there for accuracy. So it's definitely possible that that could happen. I also, Zillow and Redfin don't typically list owner names. So I'm curious when you say that, if it's like sale data that is the discrepancy or something like that. Yeah, I would say that the way to double check it for accuracy is go to your county site to see if there's a new owner or a different transaction. Again, every Monday morning we are doing that now, along with, we switched from recently pulling like 35 or I think it was 33 data points per property we now have over 500 data points per property that we pull into DealMachine. And so it's a lot of data is in there. And so again, sometimes it's going to be out of just the nature of the industry and data at that volume. Yeah. Sale data kill. I mean, and sometimes too, there's limitations in certain states with getting sale data that's actually accurate. Evie was mad I stopped petting her. But yeah, so there's a variety of limitations there potentially, and sometimes it's.
Come on, Dad.
Stop singing. She's either mad I stopped petting her, or because I'm touching her leg, which she sat behind me, and I'm not touching her leg, and she doesn't want me touching her leg right now. That's basically what's going on.
What a cutie. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for us today. Tomorrow, Q&A. Josh, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. I mean me and us.
Happy to be here.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Thanks for the questions.